Hello everybody! Today we'll be casting games from the competitive division. And first we'll be casting QQ versus Studios. I'm a low-key forced to cast this replay because this match because QQ is the only other caster and nobody wants to cast their own games. So let's get right into it, right? Unprecedented spawns in the southwest in his favorite Yellow Civilized, and QQ spawns in the east, playing as the common folk. Unprecedented, going with a classic war deck from the previous patch, and QQ going for the Squizzard and the new unit, the Crow, and also going for Boar Falcon. A lot of tier 3 diversity in this tournament. I thought it would be only wolf, but we have seen owls, we have seen foxes, badgers, and boars too. That is good. QQ going for the classic Squizzard deck. He has been applauding, saying that Squizzard is going to be a really good dispatch, so let's see him use it. And going for the Crow for the 4 tier 1. Crows being a flying tier 1 does give him like a security against skunks if Studios went for some skunks. Studio actually going for fast tier 2, which might be countered with these lizards. These lizards might be able to do something, but most likely unpresented will be fine. QQ is really lucky with these 3 campfires on the minimap. Squizzard does have a lot of map presence, so he should be able to get free farms for free basically. Not sure I agree with going expansion first when there are these 3 campfires on the map, right? It's a bit of a wasted 60 food on the mill, but I guess it's fine. QQ going to try to snipe a pig, but snipes a pig and loses only 1 lizard. Really nice play from QQ. Catching Unprecedented, completely unaware. But Unprecedented does have the tier 2 advantage, and QQ has only now started building more tier 1. So Unprecedented does have quite a big army advantage right now. You should be able to destroy this mill relatively easily, which should, well, even out the game, and actually it might give Unprecedented Studios a little bit of an advantage. He does need to go home, yeah. He should probably just rebuild his farm, and... Ooh, these lizards are going to be nice. There we'll be able to catch a few. 2 squirrels, 2 for 1 trade there. That's really nice from nice thing about lizards, they can catch your enemy retreating. That's why wolf fights are also really annoying, because if you lose to wolf, wolf will just chase you down. Now let's look at the eco, yeah. Unprecedented, a bit behind on eco right now, but he did get a lot of value off of the mill snipe. And he did get like medium value off of the fight, so both players are actually relatively even right now, both in army value and in eco. Unprecedented is winning in terms of technology, but QQ does probably have the better comp right now. Squizzard is pretty strong, and I'm not sure... Oh, the pigeons are actually nice with 4 chameleons. QQ always says that you can be 1 tier 2 behind and 1 farm ahead with Squizzard, as long as you're 1 farm ahead or something like that. So with him being now 3 tier 2s behind, we'll have to see what he'll do. Yeah, attacking up right now, trying to equalize the tech advantage and farming up. Falcon Cam is a classic comp, really good. Sprung in some crows to the more balanced army, I guess. I really don't know if making crows is a good decision. Personally, I would just build more squirrels. But But maybe he's worried that QQ is building skunks, so he just doesn't want to go into 18 squirrels, that then he would be countered pretty hard. QQ going into double falcon. One tier 2 warrant behind Unprecedented. Unprecedented still hasn't expanded, he's probably just building up the death ball and he will try to win in a pitched battle. QQ does have the extra farm, so he doesn't need to push. QQ is heading out with a lot of food floating, which is a bit unfortunate for him, but I mean the army wouldn't get built in time anyway, so it's pretty much now or never. The mill is going to do a lot of tanking unless Unprecedented manages to micro correctly. QQ setting up a huge lizard flank, but not pressing the button yet. Very patient from him. Making sure to rally in only after Unprecedented commits. Doesn't want to be caught on the retreat. Unprecedented, unfortunately, floating a lot of food right now because he's outside of the army. The huge flank is coming in. Unprecedented's army caught in the middle. Unprecedented microing and sniping enemy falcons actually gets a huge victory thanks to his epic micro. And snipes down the mill, but unfortunately the close rally point from QQ's base does allow him to clean up the rest of the army, and it's actually a little bit of an advantageous army trait for QQ. But now both players are even on eco, and now Unprecedented does have the starvation farm. Will actually survive starvation, win starvation, because he lost a big early game. So the pressure is on QQ right now, unless he decides to take a campfire on his side of map, which would be pretty smart. That would be smart. And that's exactly what he might be doing right now. Yep, staving off that starvation. In the meantime, Unprecedented taking the mill and queuing up a farm, unfortunately. Will have to sell something so it can actually start building. Both players scouting each other's warrants, knowing exactly what each player has. Army values almost equal, Unprecedented actually slightly ahead. After the sell-off, now a little bit behind, but that is fine. Selling off a tier 2. That's fine. He sold off chameleons. He really needs more squirrels for the anti-falcon attacks, so really smart. Really smart of QQ keeping the 3 lizards as well. This pretty much forces Unprecedented to stay at home. Well, kind of forces him to stay at home, because he can't lose any farms, otherwise he pretty much loses the game, because QQ's army is just a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger with those falcons, 4 falcons. But Unprecedented knows that, so he decides to use his defensive advantage and uses the fact that he has a mill, unlike QQ who has only a campfire which he cannot expand, and decides to double up on his farms. QQ sees this obviously, and knows he can't really afford investing into a mill, tries pushing. Unprecedented needs to use his defensive advantage really well, needs to sacrifice those warrants and a mill tank. Luckily this water is really good for Unprecedented. Must be careful that QQ's falcons won't start sniping his units though. Almost got a free squirrel, that would be 320 points. Foods. And Prez needs to build a few more squirrels. Just 1 squirrel warren, he is ahead on eco, he doesn't need to do anything. Yeah. Both players dancing on the edge of their territory. QQ damaging those warrens, but that's not really doing anything. Ooh! Ooh! A little bit of damage. Ah! Those warrens were tanking a lot. Oh, really? Ooh. Despite getting caught a bit in the water, Unprecedented does manage to snipe down QQ's squirrels. I mean, falcons. And yeah. Really nice play from Unprecedented. And good decision making for both players. But Unprecedented takes game 1. I'm rooting for Unprecedented. A little bit of a bias caster, I know. But me, Unprecedented, and Urbane Olive joined at the same time, so I'm kinda Rooting for my pal, my buddy. Let's get into game 2. Studios is right now on a match point. Will QQ be able to make a comeback? And will we see a third game, or will Unprecedented Studios take the clean sweep of 2-2-0? Unprecedented, spawning in the east, in the yellow civilized, changing up his deck, going for a more of a early game comp, mid game comp with the Badger and the Raccoon, with some Wire for defense. Wire has been buffed to Dispatch, so it's low-key good. And QQ, changing up his deck as well, going into Moles and also some Raccoons, and changing up his tier 3 to go for Wolf. Ooh, QQ, spotting the high ground and going for a Mole Rush. Unprecedented scouted the lack of a farm and sees the presence of the Mole Warren. He must sell, but he's just baiting out the purchase. Well done. Gets a little bit of damage, then food ahead for Unprecedented Studios, and no tempo loss for either player, because QQ only cancelled one farm. So wait, is this two farms building? Yeah, no tempo loss for Unprecedented Studios. He just gains 10 food in the long run. Doesn't really change anything, but yeah, it turns out rushing one farm is only worth it if you get a hit in. Selling off doesn't do anything. Unprecedented doing some sell shenanigans. And going into fast tier 2. Same with QQ, going double Raccoon. QQ scouting the high ground above the campfire. And the high ground above Unprecedented Studios base. To see if he's hiding. Tier 3. Whoa. Ah, QQ doing the classic Moles in the corner. And it gets immediately scouted by Unprecedented Studios. Really unfortunate for QQ. This move pretty much always pays off, but Unprez already sent one of his Raccoons to get the 60 food value. Both players farming up with Raccoons, Raccooning up, trashing up. QQ going Mass Raccoon, but Unprecedented having a more of a balance of Squirrel, Raccoon. Squirrels are actually more DPS dense per unit of food than Raccoons. So pure Raccoon does beat pure Squirrel should beat pure Raccoon if we don't count for I'm pretty sure I've seen it that squirrels beat raccoons, even if raccoons have more HP than free squirrels, which I'm not actually sure on. I think raccoons have 28 HP and squirrel has 9 HP, so... Or was it 8 HP? Well, raccoons only have a little bit more HP than squirrels, so that doesn't really make a difference in these cost calculations. So, well, my point is that the fight is about to happen. Unprecedented Studios correctly target firing the enemy's army. Unfortunately, somehow QQ wins. He was losing a lot of these raccoons early game, but I guess having a large HP does prevent you from getting alpha damaged, meaning these pigeons did have more chances to heal QQ's units, which allowed him to win the fight and eventually the game. Well done from QQ, evening up the score, and let's get into game 3. QQ, keeping his deck from the previous game, spawning in the east in Common Folk Red, and Unprecedented Studios, Going back to his original deck, except swapping out Falcons and Falcons for Snakes, and President Studios in the west, in yellow civilized. Nice map for Unprecedented Studios. He pretty much has 2 pocket bases here, even if this one can theoretically be harassed from the low ground. This is pretty much just a safe pocket base, because enemy has to go through his base to get it. And QQ does have a relatively safe base over here, even if it is low-key kind of exposed from this direction. Only low-key though. Low-key. QQ not taking any defenses, I see. Even though in his streams he was praising Pimp Tosh for taking mines and MG turrets to pair up with his raccoons. Ooh, nice sell from QQ, I guess. Yeah, QQ not taking any defenses to pair up with his raccoons. Defenses can help you on the edge of your territory. So when you have your raccoons sitting outside, you can just pop back in for a little bit, fight with your defenses, and well, it's not a bad strategy. I'm wondering why QQ isn't going for the strat, because he was praising it so much. But I guess he just thinks this deck works better. Moles are probably more important for him right now. QQ once again, going man's Mercoon, unprecedented, knowing, predicting what QQ is going for the snake to snipe down QQ's tier 2. Ooh, QQ spotting this nice pocket. Okay, I guess it's not that impressive, he has a way bigger pocket here. But yeah, just sending his troops outside of his territory so they gather food. Unpress going for some chameleons. They're also really nice against raccoons when they get a drop on them. But looks like QQ smells blood in the water. Maybe, potentially. Sussing out that he has an army advantage. Even though he doesn't. He has a slight army advantage. Going to try to pressure with some moles. And gonna try to do something. Unprecedented is pushing out of his territory. He needs to stay at home to keep his defensive advantage. He doesn't need to push, he just needs to chill. QQ is building up even more moles. That will cost him a lot of food off of these mole variants when if he would have to sell them off or when they expire. But until then he's completely fine. Unpress needs to go back. That's too much HP right now on them moles. Luckily this did give Unprecedented Studios enough time to get his camps out, but he is floating a lot of food right now. Oh, building pigeons, that's maybe a bit unfortunate. Not sure I would be building pigeons in this situation. Once again, pushing out. I mean, he doesn't have to push. He doesn't have to push. Like, QQ does have the food advantage, but yeah. Alpha damage too high on these raccoons pushes Unprecedented Studios back. Now the fight, a lot of moles are clogging up these chameleons and the squirrel shots. This allows raccoons to deal huge damage to the army. And the pigeons of QQ manage to stave off all of the poison from the snakes for long enough for the armies to trade evenly, actually. But now Unprecedented does have the defender's advantage. Almost pushes QQ back. And Unpress manages a favorable trade. In the end, coupled with the sell-off on those small ones, it's quite advantageous for Unprecedented Studios. Even if QQ did gain a lot of food off of the raccoons being outside of his territory, Unpress is still at a huge, quite large advantage right now. QQ going into even more raccoons right now. And Unpress doubling down on those snakes. Seeing how well they did the first time, snapping down those raccoons in the back. Shooting over the moles. Both players even on farms, but Yuku decides to change that and queues up a second farm. Ooh, and QQ does some posturing with his army in the middle of the map. Both players on even army pretty much. Unpress just one tier 1 Warren and units ahead. But QQ does have the double farm, triple farm. Unpress scouts this right now and decides to farm up himself. Eco's getting really low on the 6-minute mark right now. Both players dropping down to single digit, below 5-digit, below 6-digit farms. Ooh, both players posturing in the middle of the map. Unpress trying to take QQ unawares and pushes him back. This reduces QQ's eco advantage. Well done from Unpress, but maybe I wouldn't attack just yet with the armies being so even though he is a little bit ahead. Ooh, this actually forced QQ to sell off one of his building farms, which brings the eco advantage back to 0. And Unprecedented farms up actually behind this. This might prompt QQ to attack, but we already know how that went before. He knows that, and oof! Oof, oof, oof. Buys the farm, but sells off the Mole Warren, losing the value of the Mole Warren by selling off. This is really unfortunate because I'm pretty sure he will want to build more moles later. And he will pretty much just lose money off of that. Unpresented luckily scouts. This sneaky play from QQ could have been a game-winning move. Doesn't cost him anything for trying that, but unpleasantly luckily scouts that by moving back and prevents a disaster. QQ once again tries to posture after trying to eco up to be ahead of Unprecedented Studios. Unpress does get a nice deep scout, scouts all the warrants, all the farms. Oh no, unfortunately moves through the army. This might give QQ the opportunity to snipe down some units, and he goes for it. But he waits just a little bit too late, only catches one squirrel. Nice value for QQ, but hesitating a bit too long, not getting the opportunity to jump on the army as he wanted. And once again, QQ starts moling up on 8 farms. Unprecedented going into some crows instead. Behind on eco right now, he will have to do something. Otherwise QQ will just out-eco him, especially with these raccoons in the middle of the map. QQ pretty much on a 9.5 farms right now. Almost a doubling Unprecedented eco. Quite a disaster actually. And with that, both armies now equal in value, as Unprecedented's economy is left in the dust. Unpress waited for his crows and he will try to push now. He pretty much has to. Otherwise, it will be a loss. These Mole Warrens are going to do a lot of tanking. It doesn't matter if you lose value on them if you win the fight. You just win the game at that point. Ooh. The crows having 0 range is really hurting Unprecedented a little bit. Because they can't exactly retaliate against the defender. The defender gets pretty much free shots off of them. Both players commit. The camps fighting in the middle. Snake sniping down a lot of tier 1. Now going for the tier 2. But unfortunately too much troop presence off of QQ, too much DPS. He guns down everything. And Unprecedented loses. Here's the fight. These pigeons will unfortunately be able to keep everything alive. Unpress trying to snipe them down, but his troops get shot, and with the eco advantage of QQ, and now snowballing, fighting on Unprecedented is warrants. It's pretty much GG. Unprecedented decides to tap, and it's a win for QQ, 2-1. Congrats to both players, it was a really close match. And both plays on both sides, good plays on both sides. Unfortunately, unprecedented, not ecoing up enough. So yeah, unfortunately QQ was able to outmatch him in the end. Well, that was for game 1, match 1 between QQ and Studios. Now gets into game 2, match 2 I mean, between Legomann and WinterLoad. This is in Group A of the competitive division. The previous match was Group B. Legomann, lover of snakes, spawning in the west in green KSR, and WinterLoad, spawning as the Longcoats in the north side of the map, playing as Belafeed. A relatively meta deck from WinterLoad, a relatively good player as well, going for the classic strongest triple tier 2 for pigeon support with the strongest tier 1 and the wolf. Meanwhile Legomann snaking it up with a snake deck without snakes, using ferrets, fox and MG. Interesting map. It's a donut shape. There are 2 attack paths with impassable terrain in the middle. These types of maps are pretty annoying because if you decide to push through one side at the same time as the other player pushes from the other side, then it's pretty much just a boring base race at that point. Unless you're prepared for that, in which case it's a exciting base race for you and a deserved win. Otherwise it's pretty much just random. Let's hope that doesn't happen this game. Legomann going for the early raccoon eco. WinterLoad rallying his squirrels, noticing, trying to punish the early tier 2, but yeah, Legomann will push this back easily with the MG. Even without the MG he would probably be fine, but yeah, WinterLoad almost loses the squirrel, but actually gets a free squirrel value here. But sees the MG and pulls back, happy with his 20-foot advantage, and he will try to go straight into a tier 3, baby. Oh, just some skunks. And falcons, double tier 2. Legomann might try to expand, instead just ecos with his raccoon and goes into more defensive tier 1 and goes for a scout. WinterLoad sees that his enemy did not expand. Legomann also gets a deep scout. Both players fully aware of what the enemy is doing. Legomann goes into some skunks, even though he saw double tier 2 from his enemy. WinterLoad is going to try for a push. He's going to try to siege Legomann with his skunks. There's a relatively tight choke point here, so he will be able to leverage his advantage, but these raccoons off of Legomann should be able to push WinterLoad's skunks back. Building the nice MG that will permanently. When a fight starts, a lot of gas on both sides, but WinterLoad loses all of his squirrels and is forced back. Legomann trying to push his advantage, trying to at least get the one falcon. Gets a skunk instead. He's happy with his value, but gets stuck in this corner! Oh my god! Missed micros into the corner thinking there is a path and almost loses all of his tier 3. Loses one raccoon for free, another one in a fight. Somehow keeping his skunk alive for a little bit. In the end, both armies trade, and WinterLoad is once again forced onto the defensive. Even trades from both players right now. Legomann losing a little bit more, I think, in the middle. Oh! Huge moment. Legomann actually lost one of his farms in that fight. WinterLoad managed to gas a pick to death. So WinterLoad is enjoying a nice farm advantage right now. Although it wasn't a lot of food, it was one of the starting farms. It was probably 60, 90 food left on that thing. You can tell by how many bushels of wheat there are. Legomann did manage to expand though and is double farming up. WinterLoad copying him, doesn't want to fall behind. Goes into some farms himself. At any moment. At any moment. Tripling his farm count. Doubling his farm count. Increasing his farm count by 3. And it goes for another push. Tries to lay down the skunk gas. Getting caught in a little bit of an awkward position. Getting really a lot nice skunk gas in this choke. Weakening Legomann's army by a lot. Ah! Almost getting those raccoons and getting some nice value. Sniping that MG, sniping that Warren. And now fighting relatively weakened Legomann's army. Nicely pulling out these falcons back so they don't get hit. These skunks are doing nothing against these air units. And Legomann's army lacks completely anti-air. WinterLoad's pigeons now allowing him to heal through the little anti-air Legomann has. Getting a huge value, destroying all warrants, all units just trickling in. Legomann sees the writing on the wall and surrenders. WinterLoad taking game 1 off of Legomann. Let's get into game 2 with a match point for WinterLoad. WinterLoad swapping his deck for a slightly different one, spawning as the long coats in the south. Legomann keeping his deck the same, spawning in the north as the green KSR, playing as the Quartermaster. WinterLoad noticing that Legomann likes to play with MG, goes with some parrots, a nice counter pick from him. Meanwhile, all the other units are the same. Both players spawning on a nice plateau with a lot of mills, which they can take. Legomann does get one less mill, but doesn't get a free campfire. It's not a free campfire, it's pretty exposed, but it's on his side of the map. Meanwhile, here is such a weird swampy area. It's like a forgotten backyard on the low ground. But even if it's on the low ground, this water does make it a bit awkward to attack through this passage. So maybe in ultra late game, one of these mills will get taken. But neither player has a deck for ultra late game, so probably end by the second mill. WinterLoad scouting for some secret mine placement, making sure that this corner has absolutely no mines or chameleons. He's finally satisfied with his search and decides to burrow back and goes into some skunks and more tier 1. Seeing Legomann expand, pushing with skunks into an enemy expansion is usually works. It's a pretty good idea, but you don't usually just wanna do it just because the enemy expanded. I mean, usually for it to make it work against an equally skilled player, you need at least like some terrain advantage. So when you attack from the high ground, or there's like a little bit of a choke through which you can push, then in that case it's really good to go skunks instead of mirroring the expansion. But WinterLoad decides to risk it anyway. Decides to risk nothing because he actually expanded behind my whole spiel. WinterLoad getting 2 farms and Legomann jumping down to 3, jumping up to 3, and going into some skunks of his own. Both players on same tech level. Legomann does have a slight eco advantage. Ooh, Legomann Getting a defensive MG, scared of WinterLoad's skunks. Oh! WinterLoad scouted the MG, decided to go into Wolf, which was not scouted up until now by Legomann. Wolf is 30 seconds ahead of whatever Legomann will decide to build to counter. Ooh. Decides to go for the Fox as a counter against the Wolf. I would think that the Wolf counters the Fox because of the fast units. I mean, Fox can win against Wolf if Fox gets built first, because then you can at least weaken the Wolf's army before the Wolf gets out. Maybe you can like do some sneaky plays, destroy some pigs, and then just stay back and build up an army so you can beat the Wolf. I'm not sure building Fox when you're behind is that good of an idea, but it's probably the best Legomann could do. I mean, he couldn't really attack, both players were relatively even. Legomann does decide to eco up. Well, expand up and builds both mills, probably to start getting HP on them so he can effectively mill tank, deciding to build MGs in the middle so the enemy won't be able to flank that effectively either. Meanwhile, WinterLoad equals the farm count, and the Wolf is ahead. WinterLoad will try to push, while he knows that he's ahead on tier 3s. Ooh, this high ground! Catching WinterLoad unawares. Now getting some pre-gas on top of this thing. The MG is doing real nice work from the distance, weakening a lot of WinterLoad's units. WinterLoad will have to push back. The Fox! Fox getting a hit on the Wolf, almost killing it. One more shot and Wolf will be dead. But WinterLoad does manage to retreat. Trading quite unfavorably in that fight. The MGs did a lot, the mill tanking did a lot. And even though Legomann almost lost his army, it was a lot of low on HP, he didn't lose that many tier 2, which means he's quite fine. Now ahead on eco, ahead on defense, which is technically ahead on army value, but you should probably only count for attacking units in the army graph. Well, I mean, not really, that is what is important for attacking. These defenses will allow Legomann to lose his commander, which will mean he won't be able to micro and his Fox gets sniped down. But his defenses are just good enough that he gets a reasonable army trade. Tries to chase down, but that's quite a bad idea. The armies are quite even, and the Wolf had time to buff the rest of his army. Unfortunately, Legomann throws his army away. Only has his defenses now with a building Fox. Now his defenses are rendered useless by the introduction of the ferrets. WinterLoad pushing in this scrappy scenario, knowing his Wolf buffed units have a huge advantage in this case. Fox almost out, building even more MGs in the back. That's pretty smart. This gas is absolutely destroying Legomann's troops right now, though. Ooh, unfortunate Mistrally. Mistrally is around the MG, and he loses even more units. But the Fox is almost out. This will allow Legomann to push this army back, as long as he doesn't lose it against some lucky ferret shots. Ah, both tier 1s on just 1 HP. WinterLoad getting completely edged in this case. Legomann almost losing to a ferret, and now sniping down at least a few of WinterLoad's units. Well, Legomann is high on eco, though, was ahead on eco for the whole time, though, and even though he lost his army, they're both even right now in army value. So actually, Legomann is in a really good situation right now. The economy is saving him, and the defenses will allow him to withstand any WinterLoad attack. WinterLoad sees the pickle he is in, and ecos up himself. Not wolf buffing his economy right now. Legomann preparing an expansion here, buying it ahead, so it does gain some HP over time. Or maybe just farming up on this relatively exposed expansion. WinterLoad does know of this expansion, so he decides to scout and knows what there is. If he wolf buffs some ferrets, he will be able to snipe it down in 2 seconds, and WinterLoad will be able to do nothing. Legoman will be able to do nothing to counter it. Not even a base trade. WinterLoad edging towards this corner base. Already getting ahead with his ferrets. 60 food value. 120 food value for free. 200, 180 food value, and now soon he will destroy the whole base. Legoman is going to try for a push as WinterLoad just maxes, goes for maximum squirrel count, which does get low-key countered by the skunks, but there's just so much DPS, and the units are so fast it doesn't really matter. WinterLoad pushes through the gas wall. Legoman microing his fox, getting at least a little bit of value. Trying to get down these falcons. Now chasing down the army a little bit. Fox almost getting caught. WinterLoad does have the advantage now in the army value and has equalized economy. Legoman should have really focused on defending a single point, ecoing that up, and then moving his eco to a different place. Or at least he should have diversified his farms a little bit here, a little bit there. Don't put your eggs in one basket. Ooh. Unfortunate Legoman getting caught out of his defenses. No defenses building, the mill wasn't even ready. Now these wolf buffed units will just be able to tear through Legoman's defenses, Legoman's warrants. Even catches the fox, and unfortunately with that, Legoman will probably lose the game. And with the game, he will lose the match. Congratulations to WinterLoad for winning the second game and taking home the match cup. Because he was on the match point, so he takes home the whole thing. And that's it for this game. For these two matches. Evil out.